in case you lose your mind between now and then. Rough game. So, I am writing the introduction right now. Okay, I'm a St. Louis Cardinals fan. Always have been since I was a little kid. That's because they have won. I've stayed with them because I'm true, first of all, but also they win a lot of championships and really good. They haven't been as good lately. So one thing I noticed is they are hitting more home runs than they used to. They used to be a team that was full of fast players and they didn't hit home runs. They've been hitting more home runs, but they've also been striking out more. I like the home runs. I don't like the strikeouts. And so I thought, I wonder if there's a trend in the major leagues of home runs going up and strikeouts also going up. In other words, are people hitting more home runs because they're swinging for the fence? That's why I'm interested in this project. Okay? So, side note, you guys done IOPs in English class? Right? So, did you do yours yet? How did you start it? Remember? Attention getter, exactly. You don't go up there like, so the quotes from A Doll's House that I chose because, I don't know, they're at least dumb. Oh, did you like my speech? Was it good? Right? So this is an attention getter. It doesn't have to be super fancy, but the easier to read, the better. I am interested in St. Louis Cardinals baseball. That's why I chose this. Okay? Your intro doesn't have to be 8 paragraphs, but it's nice to know why. I know some of you pick topics that you're interested in. If you want to pull a few facts in, like if I were doing this, actually writing it, I might give a few St. Louis Cardinals stats over the last couple of years. Like, hey, this was how many wins they had 5 years ago, 4 years, 3 years. Not do a whole another project, but just look at it. Okay, so here's my plan now. This is my detailed plan. Future tense. Okay, this is what I am going to do. I know you've already started it, so it is something you're doing right now, but use the future tense. And then what I would do is, right now, bullet the things I'm gonna do. What I'm gonna do, I'm going to ESPN.com and downloading stats. And just so you know, these stats are not all St. Louis Cardinals players. I took the top hitters in the league by batting average. And that's the stats I'm going to use. Because I thought I'm going to look at the best hitters and see if they're striking out more and seeing if they're related to home runs or not. I could have taken the top home run hitters. That's another way to do that. But I chose to do that. I'm just making a list because I'm going to write this in paragraph form later on, right? So I'm thinking about what to do. Then what did I do? Well, I have two data values, home runs and strikeouts. Here's the part that people struggle with. You guys all have complex process on your mind. Well, can I do chi-squared with this? Can I do chi-squared with this? Can I do chi-squared with this? The first thing in your project is simple processes. So with home runs, what I'm going to do, I'm going to find the mean, the median, and the mode. Because I want to know about the middle of this data. Are they similar? If they're, that whole thing back when we talked about which measure of central tendency is the best. Then, because they're numbers, I can also find the standard deviation to look at the spread of the data. Are they clumped up? Are they spread out? And compare that to the range, because the range spreads the data out from smallest to largest. So I can look at the spread of the data and just make some general conclusions. So I'm going to do that so I know a little bit about home runs. And then I'm going to do that same thing a little bit with strikeouts, because those are also numbers, and so I can at least get an idea about my data. Then I'm going to display my data, and a lot of people choose, it doesn't matter necessarily, a lot of people choose to display the data first, like with a bar graph. So I can give you sections. This many people hit 0 to 10, this many people hit 11 to 20, this many people hit 21 to 30. Okay, now, stepping out, your project. How many of you have words in your project, categorical? Like you have the word yes or no, or Democrat or Republican. You can't do all of these, right? You can't take the average. But you can make a bar graph. Marius, you have political parties, right? So he can make a bar graph that shows how many people said they're Republican, how many said Democrat, how many said independent, whatever those answers are. That is a simple process. Okay, so you always start out with simple process. He can find the mode. He can look at some different ways to display his data. If you have numbers, you can do any calculation. If you have the words, you have to kind of think about it a little bit. Okay, this is the key part right here. You will all get your chi-squared, as long as you are in class, you'll get chi-squared and linear regression right if you're doing those. I have no doubt. My worry is you forget about this, and then when we grade these, we have to count the first process we come to as a simple process. So you forget this part, we come down to your chi-squared that you did a really nice job on, and I have to count that as a simple process. Okay? So there have to be simple processes first, and then one sophisticated process. Is anybody doing linear regression? Correlation? Have numbers and numbers. So I can do correlation because I have numbers and numbers. If you don't have numbers and numbers, you're all doing chi-squared. Okay? So this is what I did. I collected that information. I collected that information. I'm going to analyze it, look at it. Then what I'm going to do is to organize them into a chi-squared table. Here is how I decided what my table would look like. And then I explain that. Right? For some of you, you have instruments.
No, I'm doing
Basketball stuff. So your numbers. Somebody here have instruments. So somebody that had instruments had all these instruments. They're going to have to combine categories, right? Or their chi-squared is going to be like 2 by 10, 2 by 12, which means they have to have a whole bunch of values. So they're going to say, yeah, I put all the brass instruments together. I put the woodwind instruments together, and you explain why you did that. Okay, that's all part of your introduction and detailed plan. In your detailed plan. All right. So then what I'm going to do is do a chi-squared analysis, because the chi-squared analysis will tell me if they are independent of each other. Right? It's a test for independence. Now, looking at that, when we looked at that rubric, what's the one thing, as I'm thinking about my rambling here, what's the one thing that you did not really hear me clearly state that really needs to be clearly stated? Do you guys know what my statement of task was? It wasn't clearly stated, right? I mean, you could tell me what it was. So early on, you probably want to say, which I didn't, the aim of this project, and then explain what your aim is. The aim of this project is to see if there is a relationship between strikeouts and home runs. Notice I didn't say the aim of this project is to see if strikeouts and home runs are independent. I just want to investigate the relationship. Or, you know, 1 or 2 sentences of your statement of task, but make it clear. Because that's key. That has to be in everything. If you don't have that, boom, 0. Even though you did this really nice detailed plan. Okay? My suggestion for your plan is to do what I did here and bullet or dash or whatever, and then go back and add in words. Think about, kind of brainstorm, think about all the things that you did. How many of you collected data in a survey? That goes in here. Show the questions on your survey. I will write a survey. You already wrote it, right? But you're going to say, I will write a survey. This is who I'm going to distribute the survey to. This is how I'm going to distribute it. Okay? So your detailed plan is pretty detailed. The other thing that you want to include in that is describing these variables. What kind of variable is a home run? It's discrete. Because you either get one or you don't. Even though, you know, get averages with it and stuff, it is a discrete variable. Strikeouts are discrete. Okay, if you're doing something like an average, like if I was doing batting average, that would be continuous. Remember our variable types? Discrete and continuous. Those are numerical. Discrete would be, there are 10 of you who have socks on in here. That would be discrete. I can count. You either have socks on or you don't. Okay? The height of the people that have socks on is 5 foot 7.5 inches. That is continuous. Because it's a measurement of some kind. So these are not measurements. Those are just tallies. So the other type, which you guys have that have words in your project, that type of variable is categorical. Okay? So talk about that. We kind of got dinged with our projects last year because people didn't talk about the variables enough. And talk about the way you collected your data. So if you collect your data from the internet, explain what you did. I went to this site, I looked for these things, here's the website. Always say, there's a copy of the raw data in my appendix. Not this one. Okay? Any other questions on that?